Hey folks, we're live along the Rio Grande tonight. We're south of Mercedes where the river running pretty high. This is a beautiful spot along the Rio Grande, and it's been running high lately primarily because of releases out of the reservoirs. They released out of Amistad, that came down to Falcon. They released from Falcon, that comes down here, and then a lot of that is used for electricity generating and of course for irrigation as well. Let's take a look at what Falcon has done the last 30 days, and you'll notice a pretty good drop in the river over the last month or so, going from about 272 feet a month ago down quite a bit from there. Then you'll notice it starts coming back up, and that's because they increased the releases from Amistad to kind of replenish some of the water in Falcon that was released. And so there's been really high water levels in the Rio Grande, not just here, but in particular upstream. When you get up between Del Rio and Laredo around Eagle Pass, the water's been running really high up there because it released so much downstream into Falcon to help replace. But you see Falcon's only at 28% right now, while Amistad is closer to 65, 66%. So they're pushing a little bit of water in this general direction. But again, the Rio Grande running a little bit high. It sure looks good out here tonight, though. Let's look at SatRad across the region. There's nothing new to add to the river in the watershed or over us anywhere. Pretty darn quiet over South Texas, and more than likely it's going to stay pretty quiet over the next few days. As we end January on a very mild note, February will start on just as mild a note. Take a look at our temperatures, and here's where we stand right now. Latest readings put most of us in the 70s. It's still 80 in Rio Grande City, still a little cooler, 71 degrees, Port Isabel and South Padre Island. The next 3 days, I think temperatures are going to stay well above normal. Our normal high this time of year is 72 degrees, and look at that, 84, 84, 85. So very, very mild temperatures across the region. Just looks like it's going to be exceptionally mild all the way through the week and into the weekend, and likely beyond that as well. Now let's look at our rain chances, because I think that's probably the simplest graphic of all. None. We just see mainly dry conditions. Now, Thursday, Friday, enough moisture in the region that we could see an isolated sprinkle or two, but I really don't think we're going to see much at all. I think for the most part, we stay dry. Let's talk about why and look at Future Track, because Future Track's going to go into motion and show you what we expect. And tonight, very, very quiet. Our little upper air disturbance is going to sneak through the region late tonight, early tomorrow. Might trigger a few clouds, but probably not much more than that. I don't think we see a lot. As we get into the end of the week, into Thursday and Friday, I think by then a little more moisture, a little bit of a sea breeze, coastal convergence, all these things that come together to trigger isolated green spots on the map, but not much. That's why we've got mainly dry in the forecast, but we can't rule out a brief sprinkle in one or two spots over the region. It really looks like it should stay pretty decent and pretty dry over the area for a while. Now, as far as temperatures go around the rest of the state, it's pretty mild today. Texas enjoying a nice day with readings in the 70s all the way up into the northern part of the state and even into the Panhandle. Readings are in the 60s this afternoon, so pretty mild day across the region. All right, let's take a look at what's going on our computer models now and see what it's got going for us. There's a front making its way toward the state of Texas. Notice it pushes into the Panhandle tomorrow and gradually works its way southward, but it doesn't get here. Look, it's all the way down to San Antonio, but then it kind of ends, turns into a stationary front, and eventually turns into a warm front and moves back to the north. It almost gets here, but not quite. So the warm weather of early February will be significant. Some clouds around, yes. Higher humidity, patchy late night, early morning fog, but a big push of cool air, not on the map anytime soon. If anything, we're likely to get quite warm. Early next week, in fact, looks downright hot across the valley. Beach weather, right? So let's check the beach, see what's going on at South Padre Island. If you're headed that direction, maybe you've got a holiday, late January, early February. Very mild, 72 in the morning. Winds primarily out of the south. As we go through the day, temperatures don't warm up a lot. It holds pretty steady there pretty much throughout the day. The UV index is high, rip current risk is low. You see the surf temperature there on the screen. The tides, there are a couple of them to let you know if you're headed out to fish. There are two tides. There are your seas, your bay, just a light to moderate chop, and your bay temperature there on the screen as well. So for tonight across the valley, it looks like a pretty quiet night. Not quite as cool as last night, about 60 for a low. Patchy high clouds overhead, we can see those now. Then tomorrow we're back up 80 plus across most of the region under partly to mostly sunny skies. Patchy clouds again, kind of like we're seeing right now, but otherwise looks like a nice day over the region. Next 7 days, here we go. They look good if you like warm winters. Look at that, every day in the 80s, maybe the upper 80s, maybe the low 90s by the end of the forecast period. That does not look like your typical beginning of February, does it? That looks more like March or April, something like that, because temperatures running 10, 15, almost 20 degrees above normal over the next few days. We just saw a beautiful sunset off in that western sky out here along the Rio Grande just a couple of minutes ago. It's a nice evening outside, but if you're going out, it's a little cool. Maybe a long sleeve shirt would be in order. That's your updated First Warn 5 forecast live south of Mercedes along the Rio Grande. Tim Smith, Channel 5 News at 6.